Hello, Padma here with the next episode of Vikramaditya and Nagin. But before we move on to the next episode, let's have a brief recap of what transpired in the first episode. As you're all aware, there was this great king called Vikramaditya, so well known for his wisdom and valor. He was once asked by a rishi to take care of a magical cow named Nandini because the rishi wanted to go on a pilgrimage. The king accepts. And while the cow was under the king's care, Nagin, a big serpent, comes and tricks the king and steals the cow away. The king tries his best to rescue the cow but is not able to do so. And so, when the rishi returns, the king admits his folly or his failure. And now, the rishi demands that the king promise that he would do a new task for him. The king gives his word of honor. And once the king has promised, he finds out that the rishi is none else than sage Narada. Sage Narada has actually played a trick on the king to extract a promise so that he would do a task that Narada wanted him to do in the future. Now, let's move on to the next episode of the story. So, now the next episode is named Is It a Boon or a Bane for Vikramaditya? Several days have passed and King Vikramaditya was ruling his kingdom in peace. Suddenly there appeared sage Narada one morning. King Vikramaditya knew that the time had come for him to perform his task. He welcomes sage Narada and asks him, "O sage, what can I do now?" The sage says, "Be prepared, as today we need to immediately go and attend a huge sabha or a gathering, a court meeting." King Vikrama asks, "Oh, when do we have to leave? Do we have the time?" Sage Narada says, "Oh, the proceedings have already begun. We need to leave right away to reach there on time." And then Vikrama asks, "So, will it take very long to reach there? Where are we going?" So Narada says, "It will not take long, but the Sabha has started 100 years ago, and we are going to Devaloka to Lord Indra's court today to play a trick on him." When Vikrama heard this, he was rattled. He says, "What? We are going to play a trick on Lord Indra? Why do you say so, my lord?" Narada says, "Oh, I cannot forget the day when Lord Indra insulted me in front of his court, and therefore today I shall take you, a mortal, a human, to challenge him on a war of words, of wisdom, a duel of wisdom, and I shall prove to the rest of the Devas in the court of Lord Indra that there are people wiser and greater than Lord Indra himself. That will teach him the right lesson." Upon hearing this, King Vikrama was appalled. He said, "But it would be so disrespectful that a mortal, a human like me, should challenge a king of gods. It would be so impudent. Will I and you not be cursed? And will we not be punished for this?" Sage Narada said, "Vikrama, don't worry. I have taken care of all that. And you are the right person to be taking part in this war of wits and a war of wisdom with the king of the gods, because there is no one else as wise as you, as righteous as you, as just as you. And you are the best in statescraft because you have learned it from Rishi, sage Vishwamitra himself, and therefore you are the right person to be going on a challenge with Lord Indra, and I am sure of it. There can be no one else but you who can do this task. Are you going to come with me, or are you going to renege on your word?" asked Narada. King Vikrama said, "O Lord, I have given you my word. I shall never go back on my word. Whatever befalls me, whatever punishment, I am willing to accept because I know that this is not right. As a mortal being, as a human, I am going to challenge the King of Gods, but I shall go with you. Immediately, sage Narada held King Vikrama on his arm, and within a blink of an eye, they had gone and landed at the gates of the heavens or the Devaloka. Standing there, sage Narada told Vikrama, listen carefully. If we go in as we are, then there is no challenge because everybody has heard of you, of the great King Vikrama. Therefore, we shall go inside in disguise. I shall transform you as a merchant or who sells a lot of wares, and I shall disguise myself as a camel because I have got the powers of disguising. I can transform myself into anything I want. I have the powers that was granted to me by the Lord Indra's elephant Airavata. Therefore, when we walk inside, Vikrama, pay attention. Do not gaze and look at everything because the beauty and the grandeur of Devaloka is so bright and grand that you could get blinded. And the second thing that you need to remember, Vikrama, is however hungry and thirsty you are, don't eat or drink anything in Devaloka. Do you understand? King Vikrama says, yes, my lord. And within a flash of a second, they were both transformed. Now Narada took the form of a huge camel with lots of pots and pans and wares that he bore on his back, and King Vikrama was transformed to look like a rich merchant with a turban, and he pulled his turban down so that he would not be looking straight at the sights that were going to come unfold themselves in front. They walked from the gates of the heaven, from the Devaloka towards the palace, and through the gap in the turban, Vikrama noticed the beauty of the place. It smelled so heavenly. He felt that he was almost flying. And then they reached the palace. And he could not contain his curiosity anymore. And so he pushed the turban up so he could see better. And what he saw, the sights, he could not describe it. His heart was beating with joy. The beauty was undescribable. The music he heard was so melodious that even if it was raining, the rains would have stopped midway to listen. The rains would have frozen. Such was the beauty of the music that fell on his ears. And then they walked on, and he saw beautiful apsaras dancing. They were so beautiful that it would have put the best of the summer sunsets to shame. And then, as he was looking around, there magically appeared a hand that held a goblet. And unknowingly, the merchant, who was actually King Vikrama, accepted the goblet and drank the liquid. It was so tasty. It was a mix of honey and the sweetest things that he had ever tasted in his life. It was nectar. And before he knew it, he had actually drunk up. And the magical hands just came and took the goblet away. And that was when the camel nudged the king or the merchant that this is the time that you would call out aloud to the king and challenge him to a duel of wisdom and wits. Come on. And so the merchant cleared his throat and said, O Lord Indra, I have come here to call you to challenge me with a war of wisdom and a war of words. Are you ready? A hush fell over the palace and the court gathering. Everyone was so silent, and that was when King Vikrama or the merchant looked to see there lounging on a golden seat was the Lord Varuna, the Lord of water. His hair was fully matted with water. The water flew down, and next to him sat a cool person, a king, radiating cool white light. Oh, that was Lord Chandra, the moon god. And then next, the merchant almost felt himself going blind with the dazzling light that came, and he realized that he had dared to look straight at Lord Surya. And there were so many other great lords gathered, and a hush fell. And then there came a thundering voice from the throne who said, "Who is it that challenges me to a war of wisdom? Come forward." And so the merchant walked with his camel and stood in front of the throne. Lord Indra looked down at him and said, "You, a merchant? How did you get in here? And how dare you challenge me to a war of words and wisdom with you?" Then the merchant cleared his throat and said, "O Lord, I have proved that I am much better than all the other mortals because I have managed to get into Devaloka where no mortal has ever stepped in. Isn't this proof that I am the king among all merchants and therefore I have the rights to discuss or to challenge you on a war of words and wisdom?" He asked. And then Lord Indra said, "Okay, let me humor you. Let us start." And then they started having these questions and answers back and forth. There were so many questions that were raised about religion, about economics, about education, about the warcraft, about statescraft. And as King Vikramaditya was really well versed and knowledgeable person, he could answer everything. And the questions that he put to Lord Indra sometimes set Lord Indra thinking. So there came a time when Lord Indra was so caught up with the arguments back and forth that he stopped listening to the prayers that were being sent from the Bhuloka, from the humans up to him. Every minute there were thousands of prayers that were coming up to him to save. And because he was caught up with the argument, he forgot to listen to those prayers. And then, after some time, then he knew that he had no proper answers for the questions that were coming from the merchant. He said, "Stop it. Are you really a merchant that you claim to be? I very much doubt it." And then he looked straight at the camel and he realized that it was none other than Sage Narada. He said, "Narada, is that you? How dare you do this? You have tried to play a trick on me? Have you tried to insult me in front of the Sabha here?" That is when Sage Narada tried to escape, and whoosh came Lord Vayu, the wind god, who made him stand where he was and did not let him escape. And that was when Airavatha, the five-headed elephant, was very angry that it was about to come and trample them both. Then Vayu said, "Stop! Listen to me. I have something to say about what has happened here because I, Vayu, am present everywhere. There is no place where there is no wind or there is no air, and I have witnessed all this. This man who stands here is not a merchant. He is the great King Vikramaditya, and he has come here to call you on a duel of words and wisdom, a challenge, not because he wished to do it, but because he was tricked into doing it by sage Narada. And I shall tell you why Narada did this. Long ago, O Lord Indra, you once insulted him here in the courts, and therefore he made Vaishali, the Apsara, to take the form of Nagin and to steal the sacred cow from the king. And because of that, the king was forced to accept a task that he would give. That is how he has tricked King Vikramaditya into accepting the task. And he has told lie upon lie. He even has engaged one other Apsara to whom he bribed the same cow Nandini to make her listen to all what was taking place in our courtrooms and report to him. There was a huge hue and cry among the lords and gods who were there in the court, and they said, "Shame on you, Narada! How dare you do this?" And Lord Indra was furious. And so Lord Indra asked the Apsaras, do you own up to the claims that have been laid against you? Did you really do this? And the Apsaras accepted their folly. They said, yes, we were bribed and we were wrong in doing that. We accept whatever punishment you give us. And then it was time to question Vikramaditya. So Lord Indra asked, King Vikrama, speak for yourself. Why did you do this? King Vikrama said, O Lord, it was not my intention to ever insult you. Had it not been for the promise I gave, I would never be here. And so Lord Indra said, I am pleased with you because you have been so truthful and you have only done what is dharma. Because you gave your word of honor, you have done as you were bid to do. Now ask me for a boon and I shall grant it to you. So King Vikramaditya said, O Lord, let me please go back to my family and let me start ruling my kingdom again. A great hush fell over the court, and Lord Indra said, I am so sorry, Vikrama. I cannot grant you that wish because you have been in the Sabha now for a few hours. And do you realize the time zone here in Devaloka is not the same as that in your Prithvi Loka? Oh, every second that passes here is 1 year in your kingdom or in your human world. So now, since you've been here for 5 years, 5 hours, which is almost 300 years, so your kingdom, your family, and all your kith and kin have perished and gone. Now, someone else, or probably there's something else in the place where your kingdom stood. Upon hearing this, King Vikrama was very sad. He said, oh no, what shall I do without my family and my kingdom and my subjects? What is the use of going back? Oh God, please let me perish, let me die and go to the netherworlds and join my family there. And then Lord Indra asked, it can be done. I can ask Lord Yama to come and take you. But one question, did you eat or drink anything while you were here? So King Vikrama said, yes, I drank a goblet of something that was very sweet. And then Lord Indra said, I am so sorry. You have you have drunk nectar. Nectar will not allow a person to die. You have become from a mortal to an immortal being now. You cannot find death. Lord Yama will never come for you. Then King Vikrama was aghast. He said, now what do I do? I belong neither here nor there. Where do I go, my lord? What do I do with the rest of my life? What is the purpose of my life? He cried. And then Lord Indra said, I have a task for you. You see, knowingly or unknowingly, unwittingly, you caused me to pause and listen and pay attention more to the argument that we were having, at which time I did not pay heed to all the prayers that were being sent up from Prithvi Loka to me. I did not listen to the prayers of thousands of people. So thousands of prayers for thousands of times. So that many people and prayers I have missed to solve their miseries. Now I give you the power or the charge to go down back to earth and be that person who listens to the miseries and the troubles and use your wisdom to help the people to get on with their lives. Why don't you be that person who will solve the problems for all the people on earth? King Vikrama felt that that would be the right thing to do because to live for so many years without any purpose would be such a waste. So he said, I will take up this as my challenge and I shall do as many good deeds and tasks to resolve the problems of people as the same number of prayers that you lost. And then after that, what do I do, my Lord? He asked. Then the Lord said, then you shall come and stay with me in Devaloka, and you shall become an immortal, equal among all the gods here. And as for you, Narada, you will not be transformed back into a sage. You shall remain to a camel and be in the company of King Vikrama and help him resolve all the problems. You shall speak a truth for every lie that you have spoken, and that alone shall be your salvage. So saying, the king dismissed, and the Apsaras were asked to go and be of help to both King Vikrama and the camel who was Sage Narada. And therefore, to this day, when you find people who are very kind and helpful, when you find very people of wisdom as beggars, as businessmen, as teachers, as doctors, as common men, remember that there probably is King Vikramaditya doing amends for the mistakes he made, and any animal that you may find could be Sage Narada, who is also trying to make amends for all the lies that he told. So here ends the story. I hope you liked this episode of King Vikramaditya, and the name of this story is, was it a boon that Vikramaditya got, or was it a bane? It's for you to decide. Thank you for listening, and let me come again with yet another story some other time for you.